Invincible is a show about high-profile people. It's a superhero show where the protagonist and main antagonist have the blood of the most powerful superhero race in the whole universe. They're the most powerful people that exist. And yet, they aren't the most interesting characters in the story because, on the other hand, Debbie, the wife of Nolan, mother of Mark, who poses the most interesting character. The person who must react and deal with all of these struggles living with these people. We of course know Debbie is kind and someone who wants to help people, but that is so hard for her to do when she herself is broken. Throughout the first season and a half of Invincible, we see Debbie on an arc so interesting to explore and so tragic to unwind week after week. That, plus the fact that Season 2B should begin streaming today, which I assume will have more focus on those high-profile characters. Today, let's discuss Now, Debbie's life is intrinsically linked with Nolan, and even if it doesn't go the other way. The thing which I find so interesting about Invincible is when Nolan called Debbie a pet and what he meant. I can't stop thinking about that and all the implications. Of course, it is a horrible thing to say, just really bad, but at the same time, Nolan's life was falling apart, and we had a lot of evidence that Nolan truly did love Debbie, but he was only calling her a pet to deflect his true feelings from the situation. And why I think calling Debbie a pet is so damning is because being a pet implies you are a master over someone. It is horrible because you can love a pet with all your heart, but you're superior to that pet. You feed the pet, you take care of it because it can't take care of itself. And you can choose to kill the pet if it's sick or for whatever other reason because you're the owner. It's like playing God in the life of a pet. You may love it, but you aren't on the same level as the pet. You are above them. They need you, but you don't need them. And to some extent, this is kind of the relationship of Nolan and Debbie, at least from his perspective. He leaves when he wants, comes back when he wants, he keeps things from her, and he makes decisions which she should be the one making. I don't remember what episode, but Mark said something like, Debbie is his real parent, because she was the one who was around. She was the only one willing to go to the baseball game and convince Nolan that it had value. I'm sure she was the only one who ever went to school events or birthday parties with Mark, took him shopping for school supplies or new clothes. I doubt Mark even saw a movie with his dad, which is just so sad to think about. Nolan was only present once his son got powers, and yet Debbie was the one who was still present after Nolan left. Debbie is the one who actually worked and struggled. Nolan is a superhero, possibly the strongest one in the universe, fighting kaiju, or just some rogue. It isn't hard for him, but Debbie is only human. Her fight is constant, a balancing of superhero husband, a son who's getting his powers, and keeping her life in order on top of all of that. And as season 1 goes on, Mark gets his powers and Nolan is acting suspicious, and it gets harder and harder to keep her life in balance, and it is about to be completely and utterly destroyed with the reveal. One element of Debbie's season 1 story is her interactions with Olga, which I just really enjoy. The wife of the superhero, Red Brush, who Omni Man killed in the first episode of the show. These interactions, while interesting enough on their own, serve a more subtle purpose as well. Olga's husband died with honor, which means while she still suffers an immense amount of pain in relation to the situation, she can go through the grieving process and then move on, like we see her do in the second season of the show where everything's good again. This was almost undoubtedly set up for Season 2, when Debbie began to go through her own trauma and grieving, only she couldn't really grieve because her husband didn't die with honor. He didn't die at all. He only disappeared after committing genocide. And here lies the meat and bones of Debbie's story. Because in Season 1, like so many superhero love interests, Debbie really was written like a pet. Something for the hero to love, but no one would care if they didn't date the hero. They don't stand well on its own, at least that's what it looks like. I didn't think this was a flaw, since they explored what that means with Amber and the sidekick view of a girlfriend or boyfriend. I think it was a conscious choice by the writers setting up this season. But What this allows is for the true awakening of Debbie's character in the second season of Invincible. Debbie's arc here is so tragic to watch unfold, but also so satisfying to watch finish. It all starts when the season 1 finale of Invincible happens. Omni Man calls Debbie a pet, commits genocide, and then tries to kill their son. In one instant, the man who she knew disappeared entirely, and no matter what Omni Man done, whether he was having a breakdown or not, at least by Debbie's standards, he could never be forgiven, like what Nolan reflects on in the 4th episode of season 2. And we are left with Debbie having to pick up the pieces of her broken life and her son's as well. While Debbie is in this mourning state, Mark as well is having his own problems, so Debbie sacrifices her own well-being to help her son. One detail, which is just perfect, the broken cabinets. In season 1, Nolan wrecked Debbie's home, and while Cecil sent a crew to fix it, they got it done quickly, but poorly, represented by the broken cabinet doors. And while this would just be annoying to a regular person, it serves as a constant reminder to Debbie who Nolan became and what he did. He was ruthless enough to destroy his own home, and these cabinets always are reminding her whenever she goes to do something. And the moment which shows all of this best is Debbie's breakdown. 1 second, I have a favor to ask all of you. I'm getting very close to 1,000 subscribers for monetization, and of course I need a watch hour, so thank you for watching in. But if you want to support my channel, see more Invincible videos, just to let me know that, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. It means I can get better quality content in the future. So thank you to everyone who has, but yeah, let's keep going. She goes for a glass of wine, something she's doing more and more throughout the season, just a problem. The door doesn't shut. And so she tries again, but it doesn't. Again and again and again. And she is just full of rage, smashing the door open and shut. Mad at everything that has happened to her, breaking glasses, bottles of wine. She just starts crying and all the emotions are let out, and it's just so sad and painful and emotional to watch. And so to try and heal, Debbie goes to the support group, which Olga recommended. And things go well. She talks with other members, makes friends, and is happy for a moment. But everything changes because Nolan inadvertently ruins it again. When Debbie says she was married to Nolan, the group turns on her. People who are supposed to come together to help each other hate Omni Man so much that they turn into a mob and just point all that hate to Omni Man onto Debbie. But, like I've said time and time again, Mark's power is perseverance, and he gets that not from his super father, but from his human mother. Even with all the pain she suffered, her whole life being upended and destroyed, Debbie finally gets some sort of peace from the support group, and she can rebuild. She gets up and reconstructs her life. She is going to a new house, a new job, and makes herself happy again. Sadly, we know a bombshell is about to drop on Debbie's life, with Mark being blackmailed into basically becoming his father, and the knowledge that Nolan has started a new life with bug people. It's just horrible. But, in summary, Debbie is the one who needs to clean up after these superheroes in her life. While they have physical strength, she has perseverance, which is more powerful than the strength of the heroes. Debbie seems emotionally invincible and gets up from absolute pain, and I'm so excited to see where her story might go, whether she can make this new life, or if she will be stuck cleaning up after Nolan and Mark. And, speaking of those two, if you haven't seen, I made a whole video on the Filtermite Empire and what part they play in it. If you haven't already seen that video, if you have seen that video, I made one on Jinx from Arcane, and it's just brilliant character development. Both of them I highly recommend. Anyways, thanks for watching. I will see you in one of those videos, but until then, bye.